Hello fellow gamers, my name is Tony Bigblind, and in this video, I'm going to be doing a draft recap where I will be participating in my own draft event for Cards and Tankards. I run these events on most Sundays with registration starting at about 2:30 p.m. EST if you want to play, so if this event seems like something fun for you, be sure to come on down and join. More details can be found through the informational video that I have posted on my channel, but without further ado, let's start the draft itself. In this draft, we will be playing with all of the factions and with a 15-second timer for each selection. In the first couple of rounds of a draft, what you usually want to do is you don't want to try to go for anything specific. You don't want to go into the draft with a certain mindset of what you're trying to grab. And instead, you just want to be focusing on the good cards that end up showing up, which was what I try to do. So after about 4 packs, you still don't really know what you want to do, just like I didn't know what I wanted to do, and you can see I got some mastery creatures with a Ritual of Annihilation, but I also ended up taking 3 adventurous farmhands and an overwhelming Maggie. You can see from the breakdown of my packs that I haven't really focused yet on what I'm actually trying to go for. I'm just trying to pick up good cards that show up. After 8 packs, which is about the halfway point of the draft, you can see it's starting to come together. I've picked up a Wandering Executioner, a Dead or Alive, a Grave Robber, and a couple other Plunderer cards. This is where I started the mindset that I'm going to go for a Plunderers Guild primary within Monsters' Rights secondary build. After 12 packs, I've got another couple great cards. I got a Fireball, a Wealth Pummel, a Spellbook Forgery, a third Maggie, and a couple lower mana cards like Pickpocket of Tomoral that really just bring a Plunderers Guild deck together nicely. With these last 4 packs, I'm really hoping to get some more spells for removal such as Fireball, Wealth Pummel, Dead or Alive, or some more Wandering Executioners. And my MRA secondary cards is also coming together very nicely with some Dungeon Instigators, 3 Maggies, some Gorging Jellies, Monstrous Recruiters, and Killer Bee. And after the whole draft is concluded, I was able to pick up another Fireball and a second Dead or Alive. However, I wasn't able to find any more Wealth Pummels or Wandering Executioners. I was able to pick up more Pickpockets of Tomoral, a Garanan, and a second Gorging Jelly, and a second Killer Bee. So I'm pretty happy with how this entire draft process ended. Unfortunately, I forgot to take the exact list that I used from the event, but looking at it retroactively, this is what I most likely played. You can see it is a Plunder Guild main with a Monsters' Rights secondary for the faction breakdown. I put a lot of the removal stuff in that I had, pretty much all of it, and I just tried to throw in the best cards from what I had drafted, which is what you should try to do when you're building your draft deck. Now for the tournament part, since we had 9 players, it was a 4-round Swiss event where first place got 250 gems, second got 150, and third got 100. As a standard, whenever I decide to participate in my own events, if I place in any of the top 3 spots, all of the prizing will be moved down accordingly to the next person in line. I don't keep any of the prizes for myself. I like to give gems out to the players who deserve them for playing. For round 1 of the event, since there were 9 players, 1 person of each round got a bye, which means they get an automatic win for the round since they don't have opponent to play against, and I ended up getting the bye for the first round. So instead of showing you my own game, which I obviously don't have, I recorded the game of Sir Penguin on the left, who is the prior week first place finisher, versus a new player to the draft on the right, Unique Pug. In this event, Penguin was able to end up creating a very strong mastery build. He was able to get 3 Dark Matter Blast, 3 Dreadful Drain, 3 Call of the Old God, 3 Dutiful Servant, 3 Loyal Spell Shapers, just about everything a mastery deck wants and more. So let's see if Unique Pug with an MRA build is able to take down Penguin, the prior champ. Penguin's able to get off to an early lead with his lowest cost spells, but Pug with his MRA deck is able to even it out by keeping the pressure up with some of his aggro cards. On turn 4, Pug then plays a Rallying Call, but unfortunately is only able to play 1 creature, which is a huge letdown because Rallying Call and Rallying Totem are such powerful cards that you really don't want to be trying to get only 1 creature out of those whenever you play it. Jumping ahead a bit, we can see Penguin playing a Dark Matter Blast to deal 7 damage on turn 6. This is the power that a big damage spell once per turn that Mastery can keep dishing out. This allows him to take the lead by 1 HP and then play 2 Killer Bee of Urwurst and swing with all of his creatures to deal the remaining 12 HP for the win. The high damage spells and the flight creatures were just too much for Unique Pug to handle in this game. But now this is where the fun starts for me, because I actually get to play in round 2. In round 2, I am on the left playing against At King on the right. At King went with a Dungeon Master primary MRA secondary deck using Zarathrix as his Dungeon Master. In the actual game, on turn 2, using my Pickpocket of Tomarol, I'm already able to apply very early pressure to my opponent, which helps me get an early lead, but he's able to keep up with cards like his spells and with Killer Bees. On turn 4, I play a Grave Robber and steal a Dark Matter Blast from him, which will come in very handy later, and play an Adventurous Farmhand, activating his effect to summon an Eager Farmer because I had 4 coins. So I'm able to build up a very big board, whereas my opponent is not able to keep up as well with me building up this large board. Up until now, we were on equal pacing, but on turn 5, I am able to clear his board with a single Fireball, and then full swing with all my creatures for 15 damage, which brings my opponent down to 3 health. And then next turn, with that Dark Matter Blast that I stole from him earlier in the game, I was able to win the game, bringing my record up to 2 wins and 0 losses. Game 3 was a much longer, drawn-out battle where I am seen on the right, and Big Aiden is my opponent on the left. Aiden went with a Dungeon Master primary using Gun Haunt and a Plunderer's Guild secondary. He is able to get off to an early lead since I was not able to get many of my early game cards in my starting hand. The game proceeds on mostly uneventful terms, with both of us building up our boards and attacking when we could deal decent damage. But then on turn 8 was when it all started going downhill for both of us, when my opponent played a Ritual of Annihilation, which basically means one of us was going to win in the next 8 turns. My opponent decided to full swing on the next turn because I decided to play a Poison Bomb in hoping of wiping out his field. I decided not to block any of it because it doesn't matter when he plays Ritual of Annihilation. Whether I have 1 health or 20 health, I still lose either way. So it doesn't matter how much health I have. I just want to be able to bring his health down as much as possible before he can win with Ritual of Annihilation. So I, on my turn 9, was able to bring his health down to 14, but then on turn 10 he came out of nowhere with a final spell which wiped away my whole board. The next turn he built his board back up because I didn't play anything. I didn't really have much I wanted to play, because on the next turn I played a Maggie which wiped his whole board out. He tried to build his board back up again, but I played a Grave Robber and stole a Fireball and used my spells to wipe out his field and attack again, bringing him down to 8 health. Now my crucial mistake on this turn was not playing an Heirloom Enchantment, which would have buffed my Maggie by 1 attack, which would have brought him down to 7 HP, because on the next turn I had to enhance a Fireball and play a second Fireball, which was all 10 of my mana in order to wipe his field again. And then I didn't have the extra 1 mana to play the Heirloom Enchantment, which would have gotten me the win if I could have played. So that leaves my opponent sitting at 1 HP, and on the next turn they're able to sacrifice off a creature to play the Ritual of Annihilation, which gave me the loss. Such a brutal defeat from a 1 HP deficit game. Oh, it was so sad whenever this happened. It was so close, but great game with Aiden there, which brings my record down to a 2-1. 2 wins and 1 loss. In the final round, I am on the right playing against Sky is the Goat, who is on the left. Sky opted for an MRA deck with a Dungeon Master secondary. Now, this game was a much more relatively quick game compared to the last game that I just played with Aiden. This game only took a couple minutes, where the last game took about 10-15. We were both playing very aggro setups, which can be easily seen because on turn 5, we both are already at 15 HP, which is only half health remaining after only 5 turns of the game each. Well, 4 really. However, on that turn, I was able to play a Stellar Shard, which is very hard for a lot of people to deal with. 4 mana, and with stats of 6/6, it's hard to counter that without having some of these bigger spells that Plunder Guild has. And he was not able to deal with the pressure of it. On my next turn, I was able to swing with all my creatures, bringing him down to 3 HP, and at that point he basically just gave up by playing only one creature, which allowed me to just full swing with my board yet again for the win, which brought my record up to 3-1, which was enough for a 3rd place victory for myself. The final placings for the event were Sir Penguin getting 1st, Aiden taking 2nd, and I ended up taking 3rd place. Since I got 3rd place, the 100 gems prizing for it got bumped down to 4th place, which ended up going to Julius. So congratulations to the 3 of them that were able to take prizing this event. I had a lot of fun playing and hosting in these events, and I hope that you enjoyed the recap that I did of it. I will try to do more of these in the future if it seems like something that people want to see more of. And remember, if you want to join in on the next draft event, I host them nearly every Sunday, with registration starting at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope to see you there. If you like this type of content that I make sure to like the video and leave a comment with either some encouragement or some criticism, if you have any for me. And subscribe to the channel if you want to know when I next upload. But with that all out of the way, I hope everybody has a fabulous day. See you later.